And India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar arrived in Japan for a 3-day visit to attend a foreign ministerial meeting of the four-nation grouping Quad comprised of India, US, Japan and Australia. Beginning his visit, the minister unveiled bust of Mahatma Gandhi in Tokyo. Paying homage to the father of the nation, Dr. Jaishankar said that the solutions don't come on battlefield. No era is of war.
I would say today, at a time when we are seeing so much conflict in the world, so much tension, so much polarization, so much bloodshed, it's very important that Gandhiji's message was that solutions do not come from a battlefield, that no era should be an era of war. And that message applies today as much as it did 80 years ago.
An External Affairs Minister will hold discussions with his counterparts from Australia, Japan and the US. The meeting is expected to lay the ground for the Quad Leaders Summit to be held in India later this year. The Quad ministers will also exchange views on developments in the Indo-Pacific region, other regional and international issues, and reviewing progress on Quad initiatives and working groups. The last meetings of Quad took place in New York in September 2023. All right, we'll go across to Tokyo now. DD India's Chris Gilbert is joining us live from there. Chris, External Affairs Minister will take part in Quad Foreign Ministers meet tomorrow, that is on Monday. Tell us the significance of the meeting.
Well, it is a step towards talks that are now overdue by the leaders of the Quad countries, which are now expected to happen in November, after the US presidential election. They were set for January, but it has been a long time between drinks for the Leaders Summit. Last month we saw policy planners at work in New Delhi paving the way for these talks, and really is just a same pager to make sure all four of these foreign ministers agree on the broad brushstrokes that are going to be addressed. You already mentioned the Indo-Pacific, and they're going to be covering making sure the region's waters are safe under international law and not just the applied domestic law of any partner in the Indo-Pacific, using satellites to counter illegal shipping and unregulated fishing in the area, and that illegal shipping could also be a reference to illegal shipping of anything that may be sanctioned going into countries such as North Korea, and they are again set to oppose the expansion of Chinese military and navy practices in the South China Sea. The workshops the working groups that you referenced are mainly going to be focused in these talks on pandemic response for the future and medicine security. And they're also going to discuss future collaboration on the free and open Indo-Pacific term that all four Quad members have adopted to really refer to, experts tell me, the economic status quo and the preservation of the economic status quo, when it comes to the South China Sea, where $1 trillion of trade goes through annually. There's also of rare earths and critical minerals, supply chain and supply line security for all of these countries, as well as aid development for other partners in the Pacific and, of course, the Pacific Islands, as many of these countries, particularly Japan and the US, look to win influence over global South countries, continue to counter China, as they say.
Chris, also this will be the first meeting of Quad foreign ministers since the Israel-Gaza conflict broke out last year. You think the conflict will also feature when the leaders meet in the summit?
Yeah, it's a very good question. There has been speculation about whether the joint statement that comes from the summit will mention that conflict. It has mentioned the Russia-Ukraine conflict in the past, mostly all countries agreeing to point to the humanitarian crisis that has developed from the from that war. The high death toll of Palestinian civilians is often referred to as a humanitarian crisis. So there are questions about whether that will be included. There are some indirect/direct links between the Ukraine conflict and the Indo-Pacific affairs by countries such as Japan and the leader here, Kishida, saying that a conflict like that of today could happen in the Pacific tomorrow, sparking off around a conflict around Taiwan or in the South China Sea. It's difficult to see if a similar parallel can be made by the somewhat unbalanced situation in Gaza, but there may be a discussion about that. There's a lot of expectation about whether that will be included in the joint statement, and we're going to find that out tomorrow.
All right, Chris, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for getting us the latest from Tokyo.